Hello. Today we are going to be doing a video wherein I will be discussing and reading Rayne Blight, uh, user Maleficent Reveal 41 on Reddit. Their post about soulless organizational principles. I'm actually going to repost that. I believe that anarchist communism and by extension soulism relies on two fundamental principles of mutual understanding and capacity for spontaneous organization. That is a society that's kind of similar to Hakeem Bey's Taz, Temporary Autonomous Zone. It's much more spontaneous than a highly organized um, anarchic society. Like a certain corner of a music festival or concert is kind of like an anarchist um, haven for certain people. And these like-minded individuals will come together and make a good vibe area. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like that, I guess you could say. This is a society that a society needs to be capable of open dialogue amongst its members to understand people's needs and desires and be capable of organizing spontaneously in direct response to those needs and desires such that mutual aid can be performed right away. Yeah, I mean, like I said, in a music festival or like a certain corner or space of a music festival may have a specific uh, spontaneous mutual aid system wherein people help one another, they give things freely. Um, Burning Man comes to mind as like a annual Taz um, of that sort. We need to form the infrastructure, both concrete institutions and abstract cultural tendencies to forward anarchist communist organization that can regularize methodologies of understanding and spontaneous response such that there is reliability and trustworthiness establishable amongst everyone in society. I have broken my piece as to justification for my position and hope it makes sense. I like that. I've spoken my piece as to justification. Yeah. I'm gonna leave a comment. Fantastic post. Much needed. Um, there's much need, not a much needed. Concrete institution. Yeah. Um, I might say like this could So yeah. Um, in the music festival scene, art festival scene, and um, art festival. What would it be called? What would be an example of a music festival? Mischievousness. Burning Flipside. Regional burns, yeah. Regional burns. That's a good way to put it. It's a good. I'm gonna take out that and art festival. Yeah, that's a good comment. Um, Go check out Rayne Blight on Reddit. They're great. I might link them in the. I'm gonna link them in the. Uh, nope, I did not mean to do that. I'm gonna link them in the description. So the main focus of this video is their essay, Soulism and Reincarnation Freedoms. Since soulists believe in uplifting as much the forces that coerce our reality into something we did not consent to experience, soulists should have great interest in our freedom to reincarnate as we wish, such that we may take control of where our souls go after death. I also think that you don't need to limit it to just after death. You can have parallel incarnations, such as me and Giordano Bruno, maybe two sides of the same coin, um, in our uh, in relation to one another. I'm gonna get some gum in me. Um, I would say. Oh wait, do I have my audio off? Okay, I have the desktop audio off. Okay, that's fine. So why does it have to be limited to just after death? You know, if we can astral project, then why wouldn't we be able to astral project through time into a uh, another body and have them astral project forward through time into our body, simultaneously merging souls across timelines? You know what I'm saying? Uh, Having a common fate uh, and diverging fates as well. In that, you can have a similar uh, reality. So like both me and Giordano Bruno are defined by fire, yet we are not defined by our burns, if that makes sense. Uh, so Giordano Bruno was much more so defined by his thought, and I seek to be as well. Although I may be more defined by my scars than he would be by his burns, and death by burning. Um, because I continue to live. And people can see my burns, even though they're not that noticeable. They're pretty well healed and they're getting better. You know what I'm saying? It's a highly nuanced situation in reality. Since we all have free will and can seize our entire physiology as simply, oh, my headphones died. I don't need them for this. There we go. It's on that. Physiology is simply equipment we are using when we embrace this perceptual truth. We can start deepening our magical practice to push our physiologies to the utmost limits of their capacity to self-actualize ourselves. And you can do so for self-actualizing others, is what I would say. Furthermore, this perceptual truth enables us to direct our reincarnation because of a shared information theorem where magic can enable us to interact with influences outside this world and energies also outside this world. Yep, indeed. For example, my recent practice in sorcery allowed me to cast a spell designed to draw from a frozen lake in some depictions of hell to enhance my cryomantic power through feeling the coldness and iciness of it. Under the suggestion to Satan from those depictions to develop the warmth of heart that can be concentrated in a spell that melts the lake and absorbs the icy energy of that lake into oneself, namely me here. Okay, that's fascinating. That is a fascinating concept. I like it. Kind of relates to what I was saying earlier, also in some ways. Hence, we can exercise energies which, in subjective terms, can only mean we're drawing psychic energy somewhere inspired by the target rather than affirming that the target of the spell was actually targeted. Yeah. Okay. Overall, the ability to interact with these spiritual beings enables us to manipulate the way we reincarnate in accordance with our personal or collective designs. Yeah. So, I recently, just like a couple hours ago, um, thought about and was thinking about. So, my scheme of incarnation is that I'm going to reincarnate as the convict William Buckley, who then will incarnate as Alphaeus Levi, then Crowley, then all the schizos who believe themselves to be the reincarnation of Crowley, or that other people assign as being that other people that are schizo, like Dot Darling, for instance, saying like, "Oh, what's his name? What was it? I have so many names and so much stuff in my head. I just keep forgetting. Um, Nick Land. Yeah, Nick Land. I knew it. I knew it. It was on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, I mean, for instance, her saying Nick Land is the reincarnation of Crowley is kind of schizo, a little alt-right, blah 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 blah. I mean, it's not that really big of a deal. I don't think it's all that politically charged. I mean, yes, he's a bit fashy and she's a bit fashy, but I mean, that doesn't mean that we can't have good faith discussion and like be friends and like across political spectrums agree and disagree on things, you know, like that's a very important aspect of um, magic is that you're going to have people that you disagree with on political stuff, but um, how would I put it, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because in the grand scheme of things there is no paradox of tolerance. You know, you can't tell God, hey, God, I don't think people should have this opinion, that opinion, this opinion, because that's a bit presumptive, you don't you think? It's a bit authoritarian itself, and it's a bit intolerant on some level. Yes, but it's also like how'd you put it? I mean, you can have disagreements, obviously. You can call people bad people, say they have bad ideas, without being at fallacious in your disagreement with them. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go into ad hominem attacks and say, like, for instance, they have a mind virus or something like that. Um, so with Alpheus Levi or Alphonse and William Buckley the convict, there's an overlap there, which I view as kind of like a drifting through time around the turn of the century, um, because they were overlapping around the turn of the century, um, of the 1800s, which then Crowley and Alpheus Levi, I'm fairly certain. He died in 1975. Yeah, right before Crowley, which I'm the reincarnation of Terence McKenna. I was born August 30th, 2000. He was born April 3rd, 2000. So there's a little bit of like a continuity between lives, with those two lives, um, but without continuity along, because I'm going backwards in time. There's a bit of a drift, you know. It's fascinating, and I don't think there's going to be a spin out. Although you could argue that um, the inertia of incarnating backwards in time and then going forwards again causes a spin out, which is the hydra breaking of the ruach um, into the various forms of Crowley incarnates, which is a fascinating discussion to have. I think it's a very unique psychospiritual framework to work in, and it's kind of obvious how that works on a intuitive level and a counterintuitive level as well. Um, let's continue. This is one of the freedoms that we seek to build due to the freedom of religion we wish to inspire. Freedom of religion through taking stock and the value of in all belief systems and as expressions of magical undercurrents that enable interaction with the otherworldly. Yeah, yeah. Furthermore, this can be connected together with me being an infrastructural core of this net, Eldritch net. To quote the entirety of the paragraph I wrote on this, we can advance our commune and the outer cosmos by considering the technology we put in place. So, I'll open up their profile again. They are magical biocyber anthropomorphic cat and fathomless eldritch nuon, chaos god of love, ominous shaman. Rayne Blight is my spiritual name rather than my legal name. 22. I'm an extremely minor deity. Love that for them. Love that for them. I'm actually going to message them and ask if I may upload this. Actually, I'm going to see if I can change profiles. No, I don't think I can. Oh, don't want to show that. Yeah, that's my not safe for work Reddit. There we go. Firstly, yeah, I mean that's very interesting stuff. Um, I would call it a whalelet, a bubble of unreality, but that's more because I have the I'm like the V Grail octocultist sort of strain of soulism, serious soulism. This is the Reddit, and this they're really active on it. Okay, that's cool. Oh, they are on V's stuff too. That's cool. 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 But yeah, it's I'm sure they know what a whalet is then. Firstly, there is the shared information theorem, which uses the unisemiotics, unsemiotics of unsigns during anti-moments that generate moments through the anti-moment synchronicity unconnection, which enables a common occurrence that becomes a causal matrix within the actual singular point of causation, yet multiplicitous potential for further causation after establishing the unconnection. This results in a causal moment with its causal matrix opened, which enables a direct connection from one eldritch being to another eldritch being, and thus enables a shared space, which can only occur under the ethical principle of sharing each other's space wholesale without motivation to undermine the other, as otherwise this unconnection fails because the unconnection manifests as causal conflict rather than causal harmony, such that there is a natural blocking mechanism during a causal conflict, such a space such that Eldritch Net fails to form the connection. Okay, that's a fascinating sentence. Very long-winded to a certain extent, but I like it. It's like almost a paragraph of a sentence, which is very Crowleyite, to say the least. Hence, the shared information theorem says that unspaces can be generated through causal matrices that exist in a network of established connections through the pipeways of unconnection through effective empathetic principles that establish the uncognitive unempathy to form the connection in full, and hence it follows that unvirtualization is generated, wherein for the Eldritch Net is the same unactualization due to thought as a pure structure already being beyond virtuality, actuality dichotomy as a non-actuality. Yes. Yeah, I mean, people always get confused when I talk about like unreality and like non-actuality and like reality and actuality being things that interweave and relate to one another and connect to one another in ways that are hard to conceptualize because it's such a novel field of it's pataphysics, you know. People in the 1900s were talking about this stuff and were experiencing this stuff through the lens of pataphysics. And we can connect with them through using their terminology uh, and intentionally, uh, how'd you put it? Not assimilating. Indigenization, decolonization, revitalization, reclamation. So we need to do those things in relation to different time periods, as well as different cultures, different identities, um, and different theological frameworks. Um, it's very fascinating. And I think it's one of those things that, like, if we can connect to and empower and actualize the dream time once again and revive it, um, and make it once again timeless, then we will have done a great service to the Australian Aborigines people by um, unappropriating their culture. Let me look that up. Unappropriating. Anti-appropriating? Oh, I accidentally put that in caps. Actively preventing the exploitation, commodification, or unauthorized use of First Nation knowledge, art, and heritage. So to do to interact with them in a soulist way and to refute and dispel and avoid and not take part in the genocide that took place against them, as well as the genocide against the Native Americans, Native Amazonians, uh, Igbo, traditionalist African cultures and religions. To do so is a great honor and solemn, it's a, how would you put it? Like you have to buy, one thing that you can do is buy authentic art and support indigenous businesses, respect cultural protocols. Yep. Do not replicate sacred art. Yep. Educate yourself about ICIP, indigenous cultural and intellectual property. Yep. Appreciation. Yeah, you have to appreciate, not appropriate. That's a very key point. Yeah. Same with all peoples and all traditions and all groups. Um, one people that I feel as though I may have appropriated, but I wish to appreciate, and I've tried to appreciate through directly engaging with them on a equal footing through the lens of interfaith dialogue, is the Mandans. I bought this book. It is a fantastic book. Um, I might read a little bit of it actually. 156. If the Great One wishes it, Anush Ithra will arrive here. He will uncover the lives of Su, the liar, who makes himself equal to the angels of light. He will confute the Roman Jesus, the Messiah, the liar, the son of a woman who did not come from the light, that he is one of the seven seducers who go around the world in the world. He too travels in the celestial sphere. He will accuse the Roman Jesus, the Messiah, of lying. He is fettered by the Jews. His God-fearing ones will tie him up, and he is crucified. His body is killed, and his God-fearing ones will divide it into single pieces. He is chained up in Mount Mara. When the sun rises, it lets loose some of its heat on him because he hurls error and persecution into the world. Just to give them their due. I mean, I'm going to mention it, so I may as well read a little bit of it, one verse at least, at the least. Um, yeah, I mean, much respect to the Mandans. And if there's any young Mandans out there, ethnic Mandans, stick with your religion, learn your language, please. I am begging you. You have a beautiful culture that deserves to be preserved, um, and shared in a closed, maybe at the most porous way, so that people that are appreciative of the secrets can have access to them. I wouldn't say physically, maybe spiritually, they already do. You know what I'm saying? It's Yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to go much further into that because that may be reaching into the land of appropriation to go further into that. Now let's continue. Therefore, Eldritch Net enables the generation of shared realities as a consequence, wherein the reality is a pure land, un-Buddhist creation, since suffering must be reduced as much as possible under the connection, as perfect sharing can only occur with perfect principles of as much as possible self-actualizing the agent. Yeah, I mean that touches on what I was just saying about, but with the context of Mandaeanism, or Mandaeism, not Mandaeanism. Um, Anash Uttara. Hence, Solists have an unhackable technology that only works if the entities working together embody Solist lines of thinking and praxis. Eldritch Net also enables the construction of shared worlds through the intersection of interacting subjectivities, such that reincarnation is further controlled and targeted. Yes. To direct one's reincarnation, one needs to be inspired by a world they generate in their minds and target that world in general rather than the specific details of that world to target a specific place that exists within absolute infinity. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I say that, like, I am the reincarnation of Terence McKenna. That's a world that I've created. I'm going to reincarnate as the convict, William Buckley, a bricklayer, a soldier for the English Navy and the English Army, um, and then on and on. And the world that I've generated in my mind merges with and meshes with the world as we know it, the real world, in quotes, real world. This place will become increasingly objective relative to the person affirming it, that it is objectively extant to themselves rather than only objectively extant to the entities inhabiting that world over there. Yes. Thus inviting a form of last resort, planeswalking, since in this reality what awaits us is death, but there are exits laid out everywhere in this reality, just as there are entrances laid out everywhere, but the entrances only occur if the principles of Eldritch Net are followed because of the spells I have cast upon this reality, such as through my incantations. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like an exit could be a DMT trip or um dreaming, like going to sleep. Um an entrance could be waking up or walking through a doorway, even like as simple as that. Even if the doorway is locked and open, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it's fascinating. It is only so because no negative spiritual influence can get in this reality without believing those influences can get in. Otherwise, the sheer brute physicality of this reality ensures that no mechanisms for negative spiritual influence, hence to disbelieve and is to render them unable to exist here. I will also open the realm of paradise I am the center of, clearly very weakly currently, but still at the state of total anarchy that makes it all pervasive, to shield any people traveling through chaos as safe and stable a journey as possible. By stability, I mean a stability on the person's terms that enables the most self-actualization possible, whilst uplifting the most suffering the person may go through journeying through chaos, or what Warhammer 40k would dub it, the warp, which I would say like is like the DMT realm or something like that. It's hyperspace, as Terence McKenna would say. This is my blessing to anyone that wishes to receive it as a Raynian protection bubble that anyone may or may not embrace. It is their own volition. I do this to ensure we seize control of our reincarnation and therefore the future realities we may find ourselves in. I had a dream vision where Salinesh, who would become Rayne Blight through increasing enlightenment, remarked of the fresh fruits and other produce deep within the deep warp she accessed through me. That's a fascinating dream. I like that. I've decided that we cannot influence other worlds externally, and really my state is like a very rapid form of soul bonding. Otherwise, my experience of that influencing power should have been much stronger by now. Therefore, there is a fucked, if I know, situation occurring since the arcane getting increasingly intense to the point I feel utterly infused with it is a natural progression of whatever condition one may say I have. It was worth exploring Christian theology and seeing what happens when I mess around with it in order to eventually pass that perception check. It should have gotten stronger as my free energy state would have spurred on more ideas for influencing the outside to the point I'd been driven to a state of perpetual spell casting. At this stage, rather than being the strange passive conduit between here and what's outside here instead, therefore, I was correct not to conclude that my practice was draining the energy of the frozen lake had anything to do with the frozen lake itself, but rather had more to do with subjective perceptual shifting towards feeling extremely cold, such that magical energy infused deeper into me due to the propensity towards spontaneous psychological events. This would make sense because externally influencing other worlds implies that I can engage in a coupling of my willpower with internal states that connect to the external magical forces that trigger a magical event, but there's no mechanism for that connection to be made. Yes, indeed. That's Therefore, it's all internal states connecting with other internal states. So soul bonding and eldritch netting. I cannot influence reincarnation any further than targeting where I wish to be in the afterlife and praying it works. Yeah. I mean, um, the Mandaean text kind of talked about that. It's kind of interesting how these synchronicities are lining up in a way. Um, that like even Jesus may not have the absolute say on, maybe none of us do. And it's important to state it's only up to the Most High, the gods, in parentheses, S, um, the singular and plural, the existent and non-existent, the immanent and transcendent entities or entity that is beyond human conception utterly, that is completely and infinitely true while being untrue in infinite terms as well from other perspectives. Um, yeah, it's very fascinating. Some people would say this is just all nutty stuff, completely baseless, but let's be honest, they do that too quite a bit with a lot of stuff, and they don't go into details about like what people think about their discoveries. So it's they're a hypocrite. All right, thank you all. I hope you enjoyed. Y'all have a good one. I should have put something up here on the top of the like the black bar. I should have put like subscribe or something like that. I'm gonna do that now so that I can actually I might even generate something with AI because why not? Subscribe, share, like, and enjoy. Um, let me see. How many pixels is that? Let me just do this real quick. .784 pixels by 126. I'm sorry. I should probably end this now. I'm just gonna end this now. Thank you for watching. Bye. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed. I know I did. Bye.